One day in a big village, a man and a shadow were arguing over who should stay in front, but they didn't reach a conclusion. The shadow decided, maybe we should split and go our own way. At night, when the man fell asleep, the shadow used the lamp to run away from the window. On the way, there are lots of colorful lights. When the shadow passed the corner of the street, it vanished in the dark. In the dawn, the shadow appeared again, and it looked around for someone of its size. When a tall man just as it was, the shadow jumped on the tall man's shadow and took its place. The shadow was relieved, but all of a sudden the man's shadow jumped on it. To make the long story short, they were struggling and fighting. The second man now had two shadows, but finally the shadow was beaten and left the tall man. The shadow thought, I should find an animal. A few minutes later, the shadow saw some birds, but just once it tried to jump on them, they flew away. Of course the shadow didn't scare them away. They were afraid of the dog sitting there. The shadow bit the shadow's face. The shadow screamed. The dog's shadow kicked him out and the shadow and left. And it began to rain. The shadow felt cold. It leaned back to a wall, but it went through the wall and entered a shop that sold furniture. It relaxed on a sofa and fell asleep. Later the shadow woke up because of the crowd. There were a lot of people, especially kids, who were sitting on the shadow or were jumping on it. The shadow or were jumping on it. The shadow was getting mad, so it walked through the crowd and left the shop. All of a sudden, the shadow saw a man with no shadow who looked familiar. He was the man the shadow had argued with. Finally, they found each other and made up. They decided they should stand according to the position of the sunlight.
The end.